Hello, gamer guys and gals, and welcome to the first episode of Games That Deserve More Love, a series where I discuss games that may have slipped under the radar for whatever reason. The game I'm talking about today is none other than Entrada Interactive's Miscreated, a game that many of you may have heard of, but maybe didn't think much of on first impression. So what is Miscreated? Put simply, it's a survival game, much like DayZ or H1Z1. Now the first thing I expect to hear when you describe a game as like DayZ is to hear the complaints about clone games and other such issues. These are understandable reasons to dismiss a game, as often clones are cheap rip-offs that try to make money before anyone realizes how terrible the game actually is. However, sometimes another person's take on how something should be will actually improve upon the original concept. Miscreated is a great example of this. It stands by itself as a well thought out and interesting survival game. While Miscreated has actually recently started to pick up in popularity, I still feel it deserves a bit more attention, as no other survival multiplayer game that I've played has captured the apocalypse in such a beautiful, yet somber way. Here are some of the best features in my opinion that Miscreated has to offer. The first thing I have to talk about is the environment. Walking around the map, you can instantly see the intention of the art direction. The world feels lonely, empty and abandoned, yet manages to feel like it was once lived in. Buildings show signs of rotting away with lack of care. Car wreckages litter the streets and tell stories of the vain attempt to escape. The murky windows of houses depict that a long period of time has passed since the catalyst that brought about the destruction of civilization. Vines and other flora grow wherever they please without mankind there to cull them, and rats scurry about, relishing the piles of trash and debris that now fill public spaces. Everything about the environment screams apocalypse, something that not many other survival games have done in such a hauntingly alluring way. In fact, the best way I can describe the appearance of Miscreated's level design is that it feels like an extension of The Last of Us. The graphics are beautiful, and it really captures the essence of isolation and fear. In fact, the environment is only as effective as it is because it's so wonderfully built, with stunning textures, realistic weather effects, and a lighting system that not only complements the game, but actually adds to the immersion. Nighttime forces you to make a hard decision when entering buildings or densely wooded areas. Do I risk using a light source to help me make my way through the area, or do I endure the darkness till morning so that I can avoid detection? Seeing a flashlight in the distance through a thicket of trees and bushes is exhilarating, as you know that now you have the advantage over a player. They are more than likely unaware that you have seen them, so picking the best approach with this knowledge is important. As mentioned earlier, the weather also plays a huge role in Miscreated. Thunderstorms add to that sense of doom as you walk through cities and see silhouettes of mutants with every flash of lightning. Fog can mask your movements as you approach an enemy base. Tornadoes can grab and fling vehicles across the map. Alongside this, the sound design adds a massive amount of intensity to the gameplay. Looting a building and hearing another player's footsteps as they enter can make your hair stand up on end. That crack of a branch in bushes can indicate that someone is approaching you. The growl of mutants can help you avoid their spiky arms, and the rumble of a vehicle will allow you to avoid or track a player. The mixture of graphics, lighting, and sound in Miscreated creates a beautiful combination that creates one of the most immersive environments I have ever played within. With all this amazing beauty comes brilliant storytelling. Signs of survivors are dotted throughout the world, with graffiti being a strong indicator of the devastation that this universe felt. Whether it's notes to loved ones about where they can meet up, indications of people losing their minds, or just warnings to other survivors not to approach, there are many stories written on the walls of Orca Island. Of course, the biggest selling point of any multiplayer survival game is the stories that you, the player, will tell. Social interactions are paramount to making these games interesting, and Miscreated is no exception. As a mainly solo player, sometimes the best moments happen without me even having to interact. For example, one time I heard a vehicle heading towards the town I was in, so I hid upon a rooftop and waited for the potentially violent player to pass by. As I looked out from the safety of my heightened vantage spot, I saw two players hop off the ATV that they had so confidently rode into town on. As the vehicle was apparently stuck, the two players started kicking it, maybe in the hopes to free it, or maybe just to show their displeasure at the fact the faithful steed had betrayed them. In either case, the damage they inflicted on the ATV caused it to betray them in an even bigger way, exploding and killing both of them. Jackpot for me, I looted them up, fixed up my own car, and drove out of there all the richer. Now for me, I find that players killing on sight can sort of detract from the fun. Not that I expect any less than a bullet in the back of my skull. I don't wish for any less freedom, and the fact that you can be killed so unjustly is one of the best features of survival games. It makes those moments where you interact with another player all the more special. That being said, I think there should be more incentive to team up with other players, which Miscreated does have in a way. With the blueprint system, players may have certain skills that are desirable. For example, if I was trying to build a base but I felt it would be better to have a few catwalks, then trying to find a player who can build them for you is easier than just hoping you will stumble across that particular blueprint. The same can be said for trying to fix up vehicles. There are essential components needed to get a car up and running, and carrying them all by yourself is impossible. Sure, you could leave the heavier components on the car itself while you run off to find the last missing pieces, but doing so, you run multiple risks. You could either be letting other players know that you are fixing up the car, thus allowing them to lay a trap, or you could have just done all the hard work for a rival, who will turn up with those pesky spark plugs that have eluded you, only to steal your car and all that hard work that went with it. The safest bet is to have a friend help you carry the pieces, so that you can fix up the car all in one go and drive it away without any risks. The base building in Miscreated is another massive selling point, with a hugely free system that allows for ultimate creativity. Those who like to make their base an extension of their artistic self will love the options available to them. While you start off with the essential basics to make a nice little home, the blueprint system offers players a chance to make their place look slightly more unique. Finding a blueprint is hugely satisfying too, as it will offer up more interesting crafting options, and can even give you a bargaining chip when you might be threatened by other players. Quickly yelling out, "Hey, I can make you a sweet ass gate for your base," might just buy you a few more minutes of life, while those antagonistic players mull over whether they want an awesome gate or just another line on their tally chart of kills. Oh my god, I forgot the loot system. Of all the survival games I've played, Miscreated easily has the most rewarding loot spawns. Unlike many other games, the loot seems to be boundless. You can find it up on shelves up high, hidden in the back of cupboards, in piles of trash, in tents, in the back of a car, and just about anywhere else you might expect to find swag. Swag. Players like myself who tend to search every corner will often find themselves being rewarded. 99 out of 100 times, there'll be no loot to be found in those unlikely locations, but that one time when searching those places pays off feels the most satisfying. It's seriously worth checking every nook and cranny. Now, I don't want to try and fool anyone. Miscreated, like any other video game, is far from perfect. It has its fair share of bugs, and the AI is somewhat questionable. The user interface is bare and sort of ugly, and the crafting system is simplistic and less satisfying than that of its older brother DayZ. But through all that, Miscreated still stands out as one of the most promising multiplayer survival games that I have played. No other game has captured the true essence of surviving in a post-apocalyptic world better than Miscreated. And so for this, I say thank you to Entrada Interactive. These devs are working very hard, and that is apparent with every new update they put out. In fact, looking at the latest patch notes, I've just discovered a new terrifying mob called the Brute Mutant. So on that note, I'm going to go find one of these guys so I can crap myself and run away from them. Thanks for watching, and have fun out there.
Let me run, and I'll run right behind you, and have a look at me and see what it looks like. I want to try and get, stand behind you, like I'm running into you. Stop running and then run again, really quickly. What does it look like?
Looks like you're running behind me.
No, watch out! Don't do it! Don't do it! Stop!
Shit. Oh, I just crapped myself.
Where were you looking?
I was looking at you. I was just completely... had my camera turned way round. I couldn't see a thing.
I knew it was coming and I forgot that you were looking at me, and then I realised that you weren't, and then nothing happened.